prospect may also be the lead-off hitter for Thursday's opener with Tampa Bay. And in baseball, it's Mizzou and Illinois tonight. Our forecast, mostly sunny today. We expect a high near 62 degrees. Mostly cloudy tonight with an overnight low in the mid-40s. Then mostly sunny tomorrow with a high near 78. At 7 minutes past 10 o'clock, we have sunshine, 47 degrees at the Gold Tower at Westport. Steve Potter, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
And now, the Frank and Jill Show. It's Frank Cusimano, Jill Farmer on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. Powered by STL Medical Weight Loss. See the Dr. Joe difference at stlmedweightloss.com.
Good morning and welcome. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. Royal Banks, Missouri text line 84126. Man, do we have a show for you today. Dr. Rick, 1035. Get the questions in right away. Vicki Bryant from the Cardinals. What new food can we expect at Busch Stadium this season? And oh my gosh, the fried gooey butter cake on a stick looks interesting. Joe Holloman at 11 o'clock. Travis Noble, he is one of the most prominent attorneys in St. Louis. He's going to join us. It's the start of a series. He'll be with us for every week now called the Legal Eagle segment. There is nothing boring about Travis Noble. And then Ed Wheatley's written a book about the finest in the field, the history of baseball throughout 50 iconic gloves. Jill, good to be with you. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I mean, we have a lot of fun topics for today. Everything from breakthrough cancer drugs with Dr. Rick to I think it's going to be really fun. Some hot legal cases that people are going to want to know the outcomes of. How are you? How's getting back in the routine of being back at it?
Well, technically I was off yesterday because I had about 5 comp days. So I took one of them. And so Monique was conducting a class with 8 of Brooke's friends at our house, needlepoint.
Oh, fun.
And so they were there. So I had to obviously get out of there or get to another room. And bless me, Father, for I have sinned, because I did sin last night. My friend told me about this series. I don't know if you've watched it or Connor's watched it or if our audience has watched it, but I do have to go to confession. The Hunting Wives.
I have heard about it, read about it, and then it just never made it up on the up next list for me.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know if I can continue. It's just, although I didn't stop watching the first episode. Connor, have you seen it?
No, but I've heard about it.
Oh, my goodness. And the worst thing is...
It's salacious and kind of soapy and hard to stop watching once you start, I've heard.
Yes, so I have to stop. But anyway, you know how, like, if you were watching something risque when you were a kid and your dad happens to walk in at the worst possible time?
Sure.
So Monique happened to, like, take a break from the class, and she walks in, and she sees me watching this, and she just kind of shakes her head. Oh, yeah, your pastor will love this. I mean, I'm telling you, it is as risque as anything I've ever seen on Netflix.
That is kind of a shocking part of the world we live in. Remember when we used to watch TV and pushing the envelope was on shows like MASH or ER,
Yeah. Oh.
and you were like, wow, I can't believe they got that past the censors. Well, now that there's no censors apparently on anything that is streaming, we're all watching R-rated, R-plus-rated stuff all the time on airplanes and out in public and in our homes that we would have had to go to the movie theater as an adult, 17 and above
I blamed this
before.
on my friend Bob McCormick from Priory, who said, yeah, you got to check this out. So it's bad. Gray Bar, by the way, having a big function down here at the Sheraton. And, boy, they had some great food. I really wanted to grab one. There's just too many people around. Big Danishes and croissants. Oh, my gosh. It just looked great.
So we have to come up with a new strategy, right? Because your strategy right now to steal cookies or Danishes is just to kind of wait till nobody's around and then quick, like you're stealing a basketball, get in there real quick. It has to be more like, oh, my gosh, Bob told me to come down and grab one of these. I'm so glad he did.
You're right.
Oh, my gosh. Frank from the committee said you have to try one of these. I can't wait. Hey, how is everybody doing? Frank Cusimano here. And you just come in, own it all the way, and everybody's going to assume that you had an open invite to come.
I should have exercised the same restraint last night watching that show that I did this morning and not stealing a croissant.
Yeah, either that or you'll be like the people we talked about yesterday that dress up for work and then go eat the free breakfast at the hotels.
I would have been guilty of what we were just saying.
That's right. So then all the Gray Bar people would have to show their hotel keys or their lanyards before they got to eat their lunch today. I'm sorry. We had some theft early this morning. We have to...
Because there's probably cameras all over. Could you imagine, like, there's camera of me just putting my left hand out there and grabbing a quick quick
and then running down the
Yes,
hall.
exactly, yeah.
You have run down that hall quite frequently when you're trying to get on the air at the last minute, making phone calls, setting up stories. But I haven't ever witnessed you stealing baked goods and running that fast.
Do you have any interest? Have you heard about this league they have? It airs on ESPN like Mondays and Tuesdays from like 7 to 10. They give a lot. It's like this professional golf league. Well, I said golf, so you weren't interested.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But the reason you may be because tonight is the championship, and Tiger Woods is going to be back for the first time in a long, long time. It caught my fancy there.
Yes, I will. I will read the headline about it tomorrow and be slightly and mildly, but not highly interested in the headline. But no, I would not. That would not be where attract my attention.
Final thing, a quick programming note. Travis Ford, who spent a long time in St. Louis, we interviewed him for the evening sports show. And he went out of his way to say how thrilled he was for St. Louis University and Josh Schertz and Corey Tate and Kellen Thames. I thought that was very nice.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, one of the things that's the backstory with him, of course, he went through the heartbreak of having his nephew terminally ill on his coaching staff as he was facing a lot of scrutiny from his coaching skills. As a human being, to have made it through that and have as much grace as he did on the other side, I think he deserves a lot of credit.
It's really cool. And he said the one thing while he was off that was really good is his father had started to fade. And he goes, if I wouldn't have had this time off, I wouldn't have had that time with my father at the end of his life. But a pretty good interview tonight at 6:20. All right, let's break now. We have the opening dialogue when we come back. Dr. Rick, Vicki Bryant, Joe Holloman, Travis Noble, and Ed Wheatley on The Frank and Jill Show.
Are you planning a home remodel or a spring getaway for your family? Turn your vision into reality with a home equity line of credit from Royal Banks of Missouri. Whether you're looking to elevate your space or create new travel memories, Royal Banks of Missouri is here to help you make the most of your home's value and provide flexibility to fund your big plans. Call 314-212-1500 or visit royalbanksofmo.com for more information. Royal Banks of Missouri, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Hey, it's Heidi Glaus, and I want to remind you to tune in to the Heidi Glaus Show with Bob Ramsey and Josh Gilbert weekdays from 3 to 6. You don't want to miss all the fun. Plus, twice a month, we're joined by Dr. Ravi Johar, the Chief Medical Officer for United Healthcare. Dr. Johar and United Healthcare will keep us informed and educated about everything happening in the healthcare system, plus important facts to keep us healthy. United Healthcare and the Heidi Glaus Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
Truck drivers, no matter where you want to take your career in 2026, Schneider has an opportunity for you. Our huge selection of driving jobs means you can get the home time that suits your schedule. Choose from daily, weekly, monthly, or sometime in between. Looking for more reliability on the road? Check out our new dedicated and regional van truckload opportunities. Don't miss out. Find your perfect driving job today at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
John Beal Roofing has been proudly serving homeowners and businesses in the St. Louis metro area on both sides of the river in Missouri and Illinois for over 3 generations. A dependable roof begins with a team you can count on, and that's exactly what you get with John Beal Roofing. Recognized as one of Roofing Contractor Magazine's top 100 roofing companies, John Beal Roofing offers 24/7 emergency service and industry-leading warranties, including a lifetime workmanship warranty for total peace of mind. From upgrading an aging roof or completing a full replacement, the team at John Beal Roofing delivers solutions that are built to code, built to last, and handled with expert care. John Beal also responds quickly with reliable storm damage services backed by decades of experience and 24/7 emergency support. Get started today for expert service and a free, no obligation estimate by calling 1-800-NEW-ROOF. That's 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Farmers and ranchers, when it's time to buy or sell ag equipment, think Purple Wave Auction. We're your go-to online marketplace for tractors, combines, sprayers, and more. With our no reserve policy, every item sells to the highest bidder. Experience the Purple Wave difference. Nationwide reach with a local touch. Purple Wave Auction. Whether you're expanding your operation or streamlining your fleet, we've got you covered. Visit purplewave.com today. Fuel your farm with Purple Wave Auction.
Tune in Mondays to the Frank and Jill Show for Success St. Louis Style as they feature a St. Louisan making a difference in our community. Brought to you by the St. Louis Chess Club. Building champions in the classroom and the community. Online at stlouischessclub.org.
Get your reservations in now for Bishop's Post. Bishop's Post. They have the best version of your classic favorites. Located in Chesterfield, Bishop's Post is the perfect spot for that celebration.
Basement with a Y. That's Basement E.
It's Basement T.
Basement E?
It's Basement T.
Oh, Basement T.
Basement T. I get it. That's the basement waterproofing and foundation repair experts at Woods Basement Systems.
Right. The all things Basement T experts at Woods Basement Systems will provide you a free estimate and dry up that wet basement and fix that cracked foundation. Call 800-388-9326 or go online to woodsbasementsystems.com.
That's woodsbasementsystems.com.
And now the opening dialogue with Frank and Jill on the Big 550 KTRS.
Powered by Worldwide Technology Raceway.
All right, here we go with thought one. Yesterday, KSDK did something really, really cool. They renamed our studio the Mike Bush Studio. How about that? Isn't that an unbelievable gesture? He is the most important person in the history of our station. It's not just the Emmys, the work ethic, and the polished product on the air. It's his positive personality. We don't have a news director now, and if you were to ask 50 people at the station, would it be a good idea if Mike became the interim news director? All 50 would say yes. All 50 would say yes. Early on, he was passionate, and when the product wasn't up to his standards, he got a little loud from time to time, but it's because he cared. The ones that don't care are the ones I really don't want to work with. So it's really cool they did this for him. The problem is, with the sale looming, we may only have the Mike Bush studio for another 60 days. It would be like before the Rams left, Jill, if they would have renamed the field at the Dome, Kurt Warner Field, and then they leave. But still, it's a really deserving honor for one of my great friends.
And how many years total for him?
40, 41 maybe.
Wow, and how does that compare to Karen Foss? How long was she here?
Oh, way more. Yes. Yeah. Karen, I don't even know if Karen got to 30. But yeah, and Mike's going to, in mid-August, we'll say goodbye for good.
Golly.
Boy, you talk about good timing with all the transition. Man, he timed it perfectly.
Yep, he must have had a crystal ball there. Those of us who traverse the morass of traffic construction at 270 North, north of 64 every day, have become uncomfortably numb to the you-know-what show it is every day there. It's a mess. MoDOT now reporting it's gearing up for a very busy construction season with more than 100 projects in the St. Louis area this year. So everybody needs to just put on our patience hats for sure. 10 major construction projects impact drivers. Some are expected to finish this year, like the long-awaited completion of I-55 in the St. Louis City and County. I never thought that was going to get done. That's right by my house, and it's been years since we were able to get off at 55 in Lafayette. Work to rehabilitate the bridges on I-55 did begin back in, I believe it was 2021. It was supposed to be done in 2024. Now they're saying 2026. We hope so. That bridge work over Conway Road in 270 near I-64, that potentially is going to impact you. Crews also continuing the work on the Improve I-70 project in St. Charles County. Significant changes to the I-70, I-64, Route 61 interchange, and adding a third lane between Wentzville and Warrenton needed because that's where the population is going there. But it's going to be a mess while they get that third lane put in there. All of that expected to take about 2 years. MoDOT says is also focusing on sidewalks along some busy state routes, improving accessibility, Lee May Ferry, Telegraph, Page, and Newhalls Ferry, which will cut down on some of those pedestrian accidents where people are walking on the side of the roads.
We all be and moan about all this stuff, but in the end, we got to live through it, and it's going to be.
Do
better.
you remember? I mean, how when they were talking about shutting down I-4, Highway 40, I-64 those years ago, and I was in the news business at the time. We were just freaking out and talking about businesses closing, and it was going to be Armageddon. And that was a reminder to me as St. Louisans, we really react to massive change like that. We complain about stuff, but then when the things go into place to make those changes we need, we get real reactive to it. And then in the end, it's like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Good thing we did it.
It's almost like putting yourself through painful workouts. In the end, it's good. Yeah. That's good stuff. All right, thought two. Got this note from Fortune magazine. I feel like when I say that, I'm smarter. I don't know why. Anyway, the average American teacher now makes $72,000. Now, 62% of educators are taking on additional work connected to education like coaching or tutoring. And 1 in 3 teachers now works a second job that has nothing to do with schooling, like driving Uber or running a side hustle business. I remember I had a teacher at DeSmet tell me years ago, and he wasn't trying to be offensive at all to plumbers, but he said, I work with a young man's mind at DeSmet. I work with hundreds of students every year on their minds, and a plumber makes more money than I do working on their sinks or toilets. Now, per AI, the average plumber now makes 63 grand. Now, I do know that public school teachers in Missouri had this wonderful retirement. It's like 80% of the average of your best 3 years until you die. That's a lot of money till you die. Don't we all wish we had a retirement like that?
That does vary district by district, by the way.
Not everybody gets that?
Nope.
Okay. It looks like all the public school teachers I know, and I'm certainly don't all of them, get that deal. But yeah, I'm sure it isn't for everybody. But I love teachers. You know, after your parents, the good ones can have the next most amount of impact in your life. The coach I have on radio once a week, Rich Grauer, is one of the most influential people in my life. He's my coach. He always will be. Thoughts on teachers' salaries? And let's face it, a lot of them can take that extra job because they get 3 months off a year. But in general, the more money teachers make, the better off I think our country is going to be.
Average public school teacher salary in Missouri is about $55,000, but the starting teacher salary range in Missouri is $38,871.
So we are below.
49th. Out of 50. Those are the rankings we really maybe want to do a little bit better on for sure. So what if one of our most familiar institutions in St. Louis became a test case for something bigger? I'm talking about the library. Reporting from the St. Louis Business Journal this morning, the retiring CEO of the St. Louis Public Library says the city and county library systems could actually lead the way on regional consolidation. Waller McGuire says the two systems are already working together more than ever, merged catalogs, and the usage has exceeded expectations. In other words, city and county residents are already sharing books, materials, and resources seamlessly. The idea, take that collaboration a step further, even a full merger as a model for broader city-county cooperation. Not that simple. The two systems operate under different tax structures, different funding levels, different governance. Any merger is going to require change at both the state and local level, and of course, you're going to need some public support for it. But both library leaders say they are absolutely open to it. And a region that's been debating fragmentation for a long time, I think it raises that bigger question. If we can share books, can we eventually share more? And that's where a lot of the conversation around merging stuff is going, Frank. It's like, do we need a full, we may not need the full, city-county merger like we were talking about with Better Together, but are there key places where we have a lot of duplication of services that everybody would be better served, it'd be more efficient, and it would just be better to not have two separate entities?
Well, I think that's pretty cool, that if it's working with the library, why can't it work in a bigger picture? Yeah, that's neat. Have you been to the county library, by the way, Mitch?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's the best, isn't it? And downtown city library is a favorite place for me to go if I need to write something or work on something, just because the ambiance, the architecture, the remodel they did there. Yeah, those are two fabulous gems in our region for sure.
All right. Thought 3. My one sports thought of the day. TV ratings are showing that Americans love basketball, but maybe not the NBA. According to Sports Media Watch, Thursday's NCAA tournament coverage averaged a combined 9.8 million viewers. That's with CBS, TBS, TNT, True TV. The primetime average was 12 million. Now to the NBA. The league said that the 8 games of the opening weekend of the 2025 NBA playoffs averaged 4.5 million viewers, half the audience of college basketball when the postseason begins. Last year's NBA Finals only got 10.2 million. That's slightly better than the opening weekend of the NCAA. As I've said before, and Mike Bush reminds me about it all the time, our lead-in to our newscast when the NBA is on in St. Louis is just brutal, the worst lead-in we have. And I got to tell you something. I love the NBA. I don't really want to report on this, but this is crazy that college basketball does that much better than the NBA. And in St. Louis, it's not even close.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But somebody was telling me the other day that when people are watching on their phones, that's not calculated at all by any of the traditional rating systems that tell us.
Really?
And
Yeah, I guess it would be tough to calculate.
And so if I mean, that's where a lot of people are watching stuff now. So I wonder what the accuracy is on all that stuff.
Yeah.
If they're not.
Connor, what's the percentage of times that you watch a game on a screen, I mean, a big screen at home, like a TV, as opposed to watching on your phone?
Maybe like 50-50.
Really? Gosh,
Yeah.
is that telling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I mean, I'm not, so, I mean, and I'm not saying that people watching on their phones are going to be lead in and just stick around with the newscast on their phone either. So that part, I think you're exactly right on, but I do wonder about some of the accuracy. Let's talk curfews for a second. Back when I was in high school, I had a pretty strict curfew. My parents held the line on it pretty tight, so much that one night after I was coming back to my friend Cindy's house, was maybe going to be late, I put the pedal to the metal, got pulled over. Luckily, the kind police officer gave me a warning ticket. Did wake up my parents to tell them that I'd made curfew barely, but I'd gotten myself in some near trouble on the way. My dad, city council member at the time, asked me the name of the police officer, said I was a lucky duck. He should have given me a ticket. And since I paid for my own insurance and gas, parents did things like that in the 80s. I would have really noticed the consequences of that ticket lesson. By the way, next day, my dad and I played in a park and rec mixed doubles tennis game. Guess who was playing on the other side of the net? The police officer had pulled me over the night before. Welcome to small town America.
Did you try to stick it to him?
I played terrible. It was the worst game I've ever played. And of course, my dad, we walk in, and of course, he's wearing his black socks and tennis shoes, which was embarrassing enough as it was. And then he said, "Oh, Officer Blakely, I heard you saw my daughter before I did last night." And that was all she wrote.
Everybody
Anyway.
knew everybody in that town, huh?
Pretty close. Fast forward several years after that, my parents moved to Colorado, big city of Denver. My younger brother and sister, they're in high school. The rules are a little more lax on things like curfews. They did go to a private church school. Friends lived far away, but my parents were having trouble getting them to adhere to the curfew. No cell phones, no way of tracking everybody back in the day. They could threaten grounding them, but with sports and church and high school job responsibilities, that was hard to do. So what my parents and younger brother and sister potentially didn't realize is that in the big city, due to teenage shenanigans, there was a curfew. And even in the suburbs where they lived, they had one as well. One night, brother and sister coming home from a party together got pulled over for a minor traffic violation and slapped with a fairly hefty fine for violating the curfew for teenagers. They thought it was egregious. My parents said, egregious or not, you're paying that fine out of your own pockets. Everybody got a little bit better again at being home when they were supposed to. It was a long time ago. I cannot say the curfew we had over the weekend in the city of St. Louis that was just temporarily enacted would have the same kind of effect. But 23 people one night, 0 the next night. It seems like some good comes out of occasionally holding parents responsible for making sure where your teens are. Very curious what you guys think on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. Curfews, too much control, too much big brother government trying to keep track of things that we don't need to be involved in, the government doesn't need to be involved in, or a good idea to curb some behavior that's been going in the wrong direction.
Well, so like if you over exaggerate or you go a little too far, that some people think, but if the end result is, pretty drastic difference.
The Board of Aldermen's really divided on it. It's very interesting to see. And ultimately, they and the mayor, at least in the city of St. Louis, are going to need to come to some degree of consensus around what their thoughts are. But I am very curious what our Royal Banks of Missouri text line people. Did you have curfew? By the time we got to number 6, was Frankie's curfew was kind of out the window?
They never knew when I got in.
Your oldest 2 siblings probably had them waiting at the door and high consequences.
The other 5 were wild. I was on my own.
It was free-range parenting
Yes.
by then. Hey, nothing free-range about the way Jeff Sufal, senior tax strategist and wealth advisor at Capital Advisory Group, deals with you and your money and your taxes, and especially when it comes to small business owners. A lot of small business owners will hire a bookkeeper, which is great, can help with things like payroll. And that bookkeeper may be who has done all the taxes for you for a long time. The problem with that is unless somebody has that advanced understanding of the big changes that happen in tax law all the time, you could be walking away from money that you should be keeping with your business. And I'm not talking about doing anything untoward, of course. It's all perfectly legal, but you just have to understand the tax laws to the degree you know how to take advantage of them. That's where Jeff Zufall and his team at Capital Advisory Group absolutely shine. Reach out to them today, 636-394-5524. Tell any small business owner you know this is the place they need to start for excellent consulting, strategy, and tax help. CapitalAdvisoryGRP.com.
Kuna Food Service has been the trusted food supplier in the Midwest since 1918. For over 100 years, Kuna Food Service has been distributing the highest quality food products to some of your favorite restaurants while delivering superior customer service. When a restaurant puts their trust in Kuna Food Service, they get a team that truly cares about their success. That's why at Kuna, they like to say, they're big enough to handle it, yet small enough to care. Check them out online at kunafoodservice.com.
Are you retired? Are you thinking about retiring? Who is helping you with retirement? Might be time to check out the show When Retirement Happens, hosted by Kevin Lloyd of Legacy Wealth Advisors. Saturday at 1, Sunday at noon on the Big 550 KTRS.
Get ready for a high-energy night as Tower of Power teams up with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. Feel the funk and soul like never before with hits like What Is Hip, You're Still a Young Man, and a James Brown medley, reimagined with full orchestral power. One night, endless grooves, pure excitement. Don't miss Tower of Power on stage with your St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. Wednesday, April 15th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at SLSO.org.
Get your season tickets now for the 2026 Stages St. Louis. The 2026 season is kicked off with the always hilarious 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. Then take a trip back to the 40s and 50s with Guys and Dolls. Stages will wrap up this year with the incredible true story of Come From Away. Call today to reserve your group's individual or season tickets. 314-821-2407. Or visit them online at stagesstlouis.org. That's stagesstlouis.org.
It's springtime, so make some spring cleaning and clear out some room for Dogtown. Dogtown Pizza, of course. Take those freezers and deep freezes and stock them full of Dogtown Pizza. With plenty of sports and warm weather action coming up, you'll want to make sure you always have an emergency pizza on hand. And with 12 different varieties, you're going to need to make plenty of room. Bacon, 4 meat, and the veggie. Clean out those freezers to make plenty of room for all the Dogtown varieties. And to see a full list, check out dogtownpizza.com.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
Baseball is a story told across generations, through the players, the moments, and the gloves that shape the game. Now, that story comes to life in Rawlings, the finest in the field book, available now on rawlings.com. Each of the featured 50 gloves is presented through the detailed photography and paired with essays that place the artifact within its historical context. And additional memorabilia further illuminate the era each glove represents. Reserve your copy today on rawlings.com and be among the first to experience baseball's evolution as told through the story of these iconic gloves.
I'm Mark Cantor. Here's why you can count on Cantor Injury Law.
My name is Michelle. I'm a litigation paralegal at Cantor Injury Law, and you can count on Cantor because we are smart, honest, and hardworking.
I'm Kevin Glenn, and a partner here at Cantor Injury Law. You can count on Cantor because we make your cause our cause.
No fee if no recovery. Please visit cantorinjurylaw.com or call us at 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
And now, KTRS weather.
Looking at a stretch of beautiful weather before it really heats up for opening day on Thursday. Today, partly cloudy and mild. Jackets this morning, but really comfortable this afternoon, I think. A high of about 63. Mostly cloudy skies tonight, down to 46 for the low. It's warmer on Wednesday, 77 under partly cloudy skies. And boy, that heat really explodes on Thursday. I'm forecasting a record-breaking high of 91. Then a sharp cold front comes in. Scattered thunderstorms Thursday night into early Friday. Couple of strong to severe thunderstorms. And then it's back to cooler air with highs back in the 50s for Friday and Saturday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers on the Big 550 KTRS.
All right, welcome back. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. It's our most popular segment of the week. He is Dr. Rick. He joins us now. All right, Dr. Rick, everybody is familiar with that 10,000 step plateau that many people want to get to every day. How beneficial is it?
Well, first of all, I think any exercise is good exercise. So 10,000 steps is sort of a little bit of a gimmick. If you do 5,000 or 8,000, I don't know that 10,000 is magic. And really, for lowering your blood pressure, 10,000 steps is huge. So the other cardiovascular benefits are weight loss a little bit. If you walk 10,000 steps, obviously you're going to burn some calories. And then dementia. One of the biggest things, which wasn't in the article, but in a lot of our research, we see that 10,000 steps decreases your incidence of having dementia. So if you have high blood pressure or you want to lose a little bit of weight, the key in this whole thing is consistency. It's not doing it once and then you did your 10,000 steps. You have to do it pretty much every day. Do 5,000, 8,000. But if you can walk 6, 7 days a week and get in 10,000 steps, health benefits are huge.
Dr. Rick, what do you think about this hot headline from the Scientific American that cancers that we used to consider incurable may actually be curable now? Tell us more.
Well, I think the whole thing, Jill, it's a good question because the whole thing has changed, and everything has changed due to these digital twins. And basically what they're doing is they're making drugs that are designed just for you and just for your type of cancer. So it used to be you took a drug, everyone took the same cancer drug, methotrexate, whatever, and then it worked some, it didn't work some. And then they started getting into these ADCs, which are antibody drug conjugates. And what that means is they make a drug for so they take the tumor, they make a drug that's specifically for your tumor type, et cetera. And these are monoclonal antibodies. There's a number of them, and they're being used diffusely throughout medicine. So you're seeing an RA, Phil Mickelson. You're seeing it in cancer treatment. You're seeing it in people that have severe reactionary asthma. And so these drugs are specific, and it's changed the game. So these cancers, which basically were untreatable, now are, I'm not going to tell you every cancer is going to get cured, but this is the way it's going to go. And I think we're going to get better and better at targeting the specific cancers. And now you have a shot. The key is to go to a major cancer center, Siteman, Mayo Clinic, MD Anderson, whatever. You just want to make sure you're at the top of your game if you're getting treated.
Okay, so what about the story about predicting risk for dementia, cancer, and stroke, studies suggest?
Well, so I think the biggest thing when you're looking at these different dementia risks, I think a lot of them has to do with sleep pattern. A lot of them has to do with the ability to try and improve what your diet is and try to improve all the different day-to-day allergens. So I think when you look at the predictability of it really has to do with your ability to exercise, number one, to eat healthy, number two, and then to try to stay away from things, and alcohol being the big one. So if you have one drink a night, that's fine. If you have tons of drinks a night, that's not fine. And so those really turn out to be the key. And I think at the end of the day, that's where you're going to have to be. You're going to have to get your sleep. You have to limit the amount of alcohol, which is going to be a big factor. And then you're going to have to, at some point, make sure you're not eating a lot of processed foods. Obesity is the big one.
Another article that you shared with us is the real reason you're still exhausted after 8 hours of sleep. Tell us more.
Well, I think everyone experiences that. People experience that. Some people wake up and they're like, wow, I went to bed at 10 and I woke up at 7 and I'm exhausted. And it has to do with the quality of your sleep. It has to do with probably stress. So if you go to bed and you're not really getting good sleep because you're stressed, it has to do with eating too late, which is a big factor. So that's not allowing you to get the appropriate amount of the appropriate amount of sleep because you're overstressed. So a lot of what's happening is, yes, you're laying in bed for 8 hours, but the quality of your sleep is really not all that good, and that's a big factor. So at the end of the day, you have to try to limit your stress. You try to have to make the room cool, etc. But you want to have quality sleep as opposed to just sleep. And if you're waking up exhausted, I think you have to think about that, and you have to say to yourself, I'm really not getting the type of sleep. And this kind of goes just to what Frank asked about sleep patterns. Sleep patterns are the biggest predictor. And yes, food is a big thing, obesity is a big thing, but sleep patterns are one of the biggest predictors of your dementia risk, your cancer risk. So again, it's not just you're laying in bed, but it's the quality of your sleep. People that eat late get poor quality sleep. People that have a lot of alcohol get poor quality sleep. So again, the two questions sort of mend a little bit, but sleep is becoming more and more important, and it also has a lot to do with your sleep patterns creating some of the biomes in your gut. And these are turning out to be the two biggest factors. We used to think everything, had to do with genetics, but it isn't the case. So again, lots of alcohol, then you go to sleep, lots of carbs, then you go to sleep. Your sleep patterns are bad.
All right, Dr. Rick, the most intimidating person in my life is this 5'4" Greek woman who I sleep with every night. And I thought of her yesterday. I'm at Costco. I need this advice here. So I'm seeing these big monster green grapes, big, thick, and hard, just look spectacular. But they don't have the O word on the label, organic. So I was intimidated that if I were to bring those things home and they didn't say organic, I would get yelled at. So how important is the O word on everything we buy?
Well, let me ask you a question. Is Monique big on the O word? I mean, is that her thing, organic? I mean,
oh, yes.
Because she's right. She's 100% correct. So, why go organic? And some things are just a gimmick, and organic is a joke. But for grapes or for fruit or for certain things that are pesticide-free and are definitely grown in a better environment, organic does make a difference. So for berries, grapes, oranges, etc., organic matters. For jelly beans, organic probably doesn't make any difference. That's just a gimmick. So again, I know those grapes, and we buy those grapes, and they're delicious. But again, some people don't want to pony up the extra $2, which I get. And I think for fruit, organic does make a significant difference.
Very helpful. Dr. Rick from the Royal Banks, Missouri text line, 71-year-old with arthritic knee, very active. Orthopedic doctor just told me the other day they no longer use the term bone on bone, just there isn't, quote, much space there anymore. What gives?
Well, I mean, so you think about it, what you have is you have a bone, then you have articular cartilage, which is a soft, cushiony stuff. We've all seen that, right? That's at the end of the chicken bone, that soft stuff, and that's the rubber on your tires. And as you lose the rubber on your tires, you do get bone on bone. You lose the ability to have cushion. And there are a number of ways to treat that. Probably the best way to treat that, or the quickest way to treat that, is to get your knee replaced. If you don't want to get your knee replaced, the best way to treat it is with something called an orthobiologic, and that's going to be an exosome or stem cell injection, basically to change the environment. But again, I think changing the nomenclature doesn't really change the fact that you don't have any rubber and you're riding on the rims and it becomes painful. So I would be very aggressive, and I would try to avoid the total knee if possible, and I would think about some of the injections. Just want to stay away from cortisone.
Dr. Rick, great stuff as usual. We will talk next week. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Take care.
When it comes to doctors and doctors who know what they're talking about, our friends at Park Provence have really gone the extra mile to make sure that the doctor who is advising the residents, the doctor who is helping to make sure that folks with dementia who are staying in Park Provence and their specialty of memory care have the top of the line when it comes to new medical advances, whether that's drugs that are being shown to slow the progress of dementia, whether that's looking at things like physical therapy and occupational therapy to help create stimulation for the mind in ways that allows people to stay physically active longer when they are on the memory loss path in life. All of those things are being looked at by Park Provence and specifically by their medical director, Dr. David B. Carr, WashU School of Medicine, leading expert in the country on geriatric care, the assistant medical director, Dr. Lenise Cummings-Vaughn, also a professor at Washington University in its division of geriatrics and nutrition science, which is another thing they really look at and taking care of it. We used to really lament when loved ones who were losing their memory on a dementia path had to go into nursing care because we just sort of would watch them fade very quickly. Things have very much changed, and a lot of people are actually thriving, holding their own while they're getting great care in places like Park Provence. 314-542-2500. Start the conversation today. Park Provence Senior Care.
Is it time to make a change with your bank? Hi, it's Julie Buck for Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution with 2 locations, and they've been around since 2005 with a mission to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services. Here's their website. It's triadbanking.com.
Great story about Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. One of the wives called up and said, hey, we need an electrician. Call Michael Baldy. And the husband said, no, I can do it. Well, the wife overrode the husband, called up Michael Baldy at 314-968-9999. Maybe she checked the website first, baldyelectric.com. So Michael Baldy came out to the house. While he was at the house, the husband says, well, since you're here, I've got 3 or 4 other jobs for you. It turned out to be an all-day affair. They took care of everything. And so, no, the husband couldn't get it done. Good thing the wife called Baldy Electric, and now the whole house is fixed because of one simple phone call to Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. Indoor, outdoor, brand new commercial building, an old Victorian home, it doesn't matter. Michael Baldy and his team of electricians will take care of you. 314-968-9999, Baldy Electric, or baldyelectric.com. You know, over the years, Lordo's has become part of the family for many, many St. Louis families. For 80 years, they've been helping St. Louis families with all of the jewelry needs, whether it's the diamond ring, a diamond ring, maybe something for St. Patrick's Day, something for an anniversary, Valentine's Day. Throughout the years and throughout the calendar, it's Lordo's as your go-to. Whether it's men or women, you want to repurpose something or buy something new, Lordo's Diamonds in the heart of Ladue on Clayton Road. You see, it's a family business. The family's been running it for years, and they learned it from their father, who learned it from their father. And so that family jeweler, it's where generations of St. Louisans go. Grandparents have gone there. Your grandkids will go there. Right there in Ladue on Clayton Road, across the street from a Norman Rockwell-esque firehouse, is Lordo's Diamonds. Go in, make a friend, and make them your family jeweler, because you can thank me later. 314-432-8008 or online, lordosdiamonds.com.
You can feel the Clydesdales circling the field. Hear the stands come alive. Smell the hot dogs, the popcorn, and cold beer in the air. See the crowd rise as the first pitch hits the glove. And just like that, a new season begins. The countdown is on until opening day, and tickets start at just $49. Don't miss St. Louis's favorite holiday. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/opening day.
Swings, and it's a high fly ball. That's hit deep. It's a gunner! It's a gunner! And a game winner!
Start the season in style on Saturday, March 28th. The Cardinals welcome the Tampa Bay Rays for a spring showdown downtown. That day, you can score a lightweight Cardinals pullover, a navy blue look built for early season nights, and easy everyday wear. Comfortable, classic, and ready for cool evenings at the ballpark. It's a layer you'll reach for all season long. Get tickets and details at cardinals.com/promotions.
And welcome back. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. We are just a couple of days away from opening day. Cardinals and Rays, 3 o'clock at Busch Stadium. And we're excited because Vicki Bryant is a vice president with the Cardinals, and she has done a magnificent job in her unbelievable career. And she is, among other things, in charge of the great food at Busch Stadium. Vicki, great to be with you. How are you?
Could not be better. It's opening day week, and we are so excited. The ballpark looks great, and the weather forecast looks fantastic, so we're ready to welcome fans back to Busch Stadium.
A lot of cool things on the new menu. Let's begin with hot dog burnt ends. Explain, please.
That was the same response I had to the chef when he proposed this item. I said, really? And then he said, trust me, he'd let us taste them, and it was a party in your mouth. In my mouth, it certainly was. It is just like burnt-ends that you would traditionally see, except it's hot dogs. And it's served with a side of potato salad, and it is really delicious. And that'll be out at the Broadway barbecue stand out by Gate 6.
Vicki, a couple weeks back, we talked to you about the Coca-Cola Unlimited ticket package, which was the all-you-can-eat ballpark favorite. So we know about that part, but there's some really, I would say, fusion food is sort of leading the pack this year. Birria ramen. I think of ballpark food tends to be more, stuff I can just eat with my hands. I assume you're going to need a bowl and a spoon for this one, but pretty delicious.
It is very delicious. It's out at the International Walk stand out in Ford Plaza. It's so flavorful and delicious. I mean, let's face it, everybody loves to come down and have our hot dogs, have our nachos. But, we also have a lot of fans who want something a little different and something they might not, have at home. And this is certainly a delicious ramen bowl that is something I think people are really going to enjoy.
Okay, so a Nashville hot chicken sandwich sounds really good, but it wasn't enough for the Cardinals. You wanted to make the bread a waffle. It's a waffle sandwich. Wow.
That's exactly what you'll say when you eat it, Frank. It is a chicken waffle sandwich. It is at the Big Chicken stand. It is the delicious chicken breast that we serve from Shaq's Big Chicken and served with a waffle, and it's very good at both Big Chicken stands in the ballpark.
So the big question for a lot of us who have become addicted to the killer pastrami sandwich, are we going to be able to get that this year?
Absolutely. You will absolutely get it, and you can then top it off with a fried gooey butter cake.
Well, I mean, those two things are that's a perfect food pairing. You start with the amazing pastrami, and then you finish it up with the dessert. That is going to be something you can eat easily because why make people get their hands sticky? We're going to put it on a stick. It's a portable version, of course, of our favorite St. Louis dessert, right?
It is a delicious version with, as you said, on a stick. It's dipped in funnel cake batter and fried. I don't know that I could eat it by myself, but certainly I think,
Try
Frank,
harder, Vicki. Try harder.
Exactly. Give it a try. Let us know.
Okay, so another thing you're doing is Made in the Lou concession stand on the first level where you'll have various restaurants strutting their stuff with their best entrees.
Yes, I'm so excited about this one because we're really giving an opportunity for some local restaurants, food trucks to showcase some of their best items. So each month it'll feature a different one. So the lineup is Kanoa's Hawaiian Grill. That will be in April, starting opening day and through the month of April. And then we have K-Bop, which is a Korean barbecue, followed then by the Fattened Calf, a Filipino barbecue. And then we'll have the Taste D Burger, STL, which are some smash burgers with a different twist. They say that they're the best, tastiest flippin' burgers on the planet is what they claim. And then we'll have Gulf Shores, which is the Garland-style cuisine that people love here in St. Louis from their restaurants. And then we'll have another one in September. So each one of these will have a great menu featuring their very best items. And, we're excited to be able to showcase those and give some variety. So each time you come to the ballpark, you can try something different.
And in October, speaking optimistically, of course, there'll be something even more delicious, I'm sure. Let's talk beverages for a quick sec before we let you go. Of course, we think ballpark, we think frosty cold one, but there's going to be a new bar concept, the Pop Fly Bar, with some signature cocktails. Do I have that right?
Absolutely. So the first one is a pop-up bar called Where'd You Go? And as all of us St. Louisans, the first question, you from St. Louis, where'd you go to high school? So it will feature some really fun decor and some photo opportunities with some signature cocktails themed for each one of those. So there'll be 3 different ones. And like I said, the first one is Where'd You Go? And we'll have 2 more to feature throughout the season.
Vicki, great job as usual. We will see you at the ballpark on Thursday. Thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. And for any information on any of these concepts and locations, be sure to check out the Fan Food Guide in the Ballpark app.
All right, Vicki Bryant from the Cardinals joining us on the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
Let's get to just a couple of the texts from the Royal Banks Missouri text line. Many of you joining in the conversation today, talking about teaching pay, saying, yep, we really have to give some more attention to our Missouri teachers. From one texter, somebody else saying, but they get their summers off, so let's make sure we consider that in their calculations as well. Another thought, college basketball, better game than the NBA. The pure emotion of the student athlete far exceeds the boring pro game. That's from Ciro. Lots of you, too many to read here, are texting in about the curfews. Curfews needed or felonies happen from the 636. I think there's some real value in learning to abide by a rule you don't think is fair, you don't happen to like, just because those rules are there. Somebody else, finally holding the parents responsible. And I love this thought as well from the 618. My dad always said, nothing good happens after midnight. Get your butt home.
It's interesting because this is not scientific, but every response we have heard from on the curfew law has been pro-curfew. We haven't gotten one the other way.
Yeah, I don't think we probably have too many people under the age of 18 weighing, and I think we would have the reverse response if we did. From the 314, a minor running around town with an illegal gun is pathetic parenting. Love hearing from you guys. Hope we hear from a lot more of you in the next hour as well, because we have an excellent show coming. Joe Holloman's going to talk about, we'll ask him what he thinks about the curfews and a whole bunch of other things. Our new Legal Eagle segment, some fabulous hot headlines that are in the news about legal cases right now, and find out why baseball, some of the most iconic baseball gloves have impacted history. All coming up in the next hour of the Frank and Jill Show.
It's Sarah Haynes from The View. Today, stronger immunity and better nutrition are more important than ever. That's why Eggland's Best gives you and your family more. Compared to ordinary eggs, Eggland's Best provides 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, all helping you to maintain a strong immune system and better overall health. Plus, you get all that farm-fresh, delicious taste. These are no ordinary times, so why choose an ordinary egg? Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Hey, it's Josh, and I want to tell you about a dentist office, My Dentist Office, and their new location, now open in Lake St. Louis Dentistry. Dr. Landgraf and the group of dentists have been my dentists my entire life. They've been my parents' dentists for their entire lives, and you don't keep generation after generation of clients unless you're really good at what you do. Now with 3 locations, Florissant, Creve Coeur, and the new one, Lake St. Louis Dentistry, half-mile from 4064, and you can get an appointment today. Check out My Dentist, LakeSt.LouisDentistry.com.
When you go and get your car washed, do you really care which car wash you go to? Yes, because not all car washes are created equal. Country Club Car Wash is the local family-owned and family-operated car wash since 1989. All these other ones that are popping up, they're all run by out-of-town hedge funds. Keep it local, keep it great. Touchless car washes, no brushes, inside and out. 5 area locations, Country Club Car Wash or cccwstl.com.
Diana from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers here to remind you, we don't just offer the best pieces, we offer one of the last master hand engravers in our country. My father can create timeless, personal, and unforgettable pieces. Come by our showroom at the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or learn more online at wowdiamonds.com.
The Big 550.
KTRS St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Funding for DHS remains in limbo with Democrats pushing for immigration reform. It comes as TSA workers on the job without pay for more than a month are calling out, and President Trump has sent ICE agents to help at airports short-staffed by TSA officers and dealing with long security lines. Senators also signaling they may be moving closer to a funding fix. ABC's Jay O'Brien is on Capitol Hill.
What we're told is that Republicans are moving closer to a proposal to fund every agency inside DHS except except for immigration enforcement, and then cover funding for that in separate legislation that would come down the road. I'm told that's an approach that President Trump initially rejected when he was first told about it this weekend. But then last night, several Republican senators going to the White House, meeting with President Trump behind closed doors.
Last night, the Senate confirmed Senator Mark Wayne Mullen as the new Homeland Security Secretary. He'll be sworn in this afternoon. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt says he'll appoint Energy Executive Alan Armstrong to fill the Senate seat for the remainder of Mullen's term. Oil prices once again climbing after a brief dip yesterday following President Trump's comments that the U.S. and Iran are engaged in talks. Iran denying that claim, saying no talks have been held, and claims that the comments are an attempt to manipulate the oil markets. More from ABC's Rachel Scott.
The president is facing increasing pressure to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Right now, the average price of gas nationwide is about $3.98 a gallon, but experts say that will likely rise to $4 a gallon in the next 24 hours.
It comes as Iran carries out more strikes across the Middle East, targeting several Gulf states and Israel. At least one missile hitting a building in Tel Aviv. In New York City, the NTSB expected to update the investigation so far in the deadly collision at LaGuardia Airport Sunday. An Air Canada jet slamming into a fire truck on the runway, killing the pilot and co-pilot and injuring dozens of passengers and crew members. You're listening to ABC News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
.51 degrees at 11:03 with KTRS News. I'm Steve Potter. Emotions ran high at last night's Festus City Council meeting. Dozens of residents attended and voiced their opposition to a proposed data center. Residents say the project should be placed before the voters. The City Council is expected to vote on the issue next week. A forum tonight in University City will deal with protecting neighborhoods from future storms. It begins at 7 o'clock at University City High School, where environmental advocates and local leaders will discuss strategies aimed at reducing flood risks. The meeting is organized by a flood task force and will also feature candidates running for mayor who will outline their plans, if elected, to address flooding. Early voting is underway for Missouri's April 7th election.
Early voting began today for Missouri's April 7th general municipal election. Among the key ballot issues in St. Louis City is Proposition E. The ballot measure asks if voters should renew the city's longstanding 1% earnings tax. Meanwhile, voters in several communities will cast ballots for mayoral, aldermanic, and city council races. Early voting will continue through April 6. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
Ferguson Police Chief Troy Doyle will continue to lead the department. The city renewed his contract, which runs until 2030. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley has sent a letter to the CEO of Fair Isaac Corporation, also known as FICO, to inform the company of his investigation into its pricing practices in the mortgage credit scoring market. Hawley is also asking the Federal Trade Commission to open an investigation. He says FICO's recent price increases are contributing to the problem of housing affordability, particularly for first-time homebuyers. One person is in critical condition after a house fire in North St. Louis. Firefighters were called last night to the 4700 block of Genevieve Avenue, where they rescued one person who was trapped in the home. The Repertory Theater of St. Louis's current production, Ring of Fire, the music of Johnny Cash, runs through April 12th at the Loretto Hilton Center. On the Frank and Jill Show, the Rep's Kate Bergstrom talked about the theater's upcoming 60th anniversary.
We've got this wonderful anniversary coming up where we can say not only have we had an extraordinary 60 years, but we are revving to kick the next 60 years into gear powerfully.
Ticket and show information can be found online at repstl.org. This KTRS Business Minute brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. City officials in Festus have released more information on the data center, and a Clayton-based company that provides software to help companies standardize their policies and procedures has been sold to a Canadian company. Valeris Group has acquired Compros. Terms of that deal have not yet been disclosed. Now the market's brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk and Retirement Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. The Dow is up 76 points at 46,284. NASDAQ down 101 at 21,843. And the S&P 500 down 4 at 6,576. In sports, Mizzou and Illinois baseball renew bragging rights on the diamond tonight. The Tigers and Illini will play at Carshield Field in O'Fallon. Mizzou will tangle with Lindenwood in St. Charles tomorrow. Weather-wise, we're looking for mostly sunny skies today, an afternoon high near 62, mostly cloudy tonight with an overnight low in the mid-40s, mostly sunny tomorrow with a high near 78. Coming up on 7 minutes past 11 o'clock, mostly sunny, 51 degrees at the Gold Tower at Westport. Steve Potter, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Truck drivers, are you tired of your pay not matching your experience? At Schneider, our truck driver pay is designed so your years of service directly translate to higher earnings. Plus, longtime drivers qualify for larger sign-on bonuses and a larger selection of driving jobs. Pick from dry van, intermodal, tanker, and dedicated opportunities. Ready to be rewarded for your hard work and expertise? Find the right driving job for you at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Welcome back. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. On Tuesdays at 11 o'clock, we visit with Joe Holloman from the Post-Dispatch. Joe, I was listening to a Locked On podcast yesterday with people on the Locked On podcast network from the respective cities in the National League Central. And the Cardinals are unanimously picked to finish last. FanDuel has them at under 70 wins. The offense on paper looks, quite frankly, pathetic. Have you ever had a time in your lifetime of supporting the Cardinals that you have such little anticipation for a season?
Yeah, I'd have to go back to like the late 70s. Right in the late 70s before after Gibson's retirement and before Whitey Herzog's hiring during the strike season in 80-81 there. So late 70s would be the one that I can remember where it was like, I'll watch games because I'm a diehard Cardinal fan and I'll listen to games, but we're not going anywhere. I guess there's always been a feeling, at least in most years, it seems like for the last 30 years, we've had better teams than others, but you always thought, with the right breaks, maybe we make the playoffs, you get hot. I don't see that at all this year. Frankly, I don't even see it next year. So it's pretty I think the cupboard is fairly bare when it comes to producing for this year.
So, Joe, for a diehard longtime fan like you, does that keep you from going to the games, or just the experience, the nostalgia, the new food on the menu, the all-you-can-eat buffet, whatever it is? Do you still see yourself being there, even if the results aren't going to be what you want to see?
Well, yeah, I will go as much as I've gone in recent years, even when they win. And quite frankly, I will say this, that as you get older, I will no longer go to games, and it's been quite a while, in August when it's 92 degrees at 8 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. I don't go to as many games. And maybe, Jill, I don't know, Frank, you might remember, I remember when every game wasn't on TV.
Yeah.
And, I remember actually as a little kid, the only time there were games on, first of all, there were no home games ever on TV. That was a rule. And then it was like maybe Sundays, there was always a game on or what have you. But so I guess my attendance in person has went down with the years. But no, I will end up going to a couple of games, provided that my old body thinks the weather is perfect for it, because I like going to a ballpark. I like hearing the ball and the bat live. So I will probably go to the same few number of games that I go every year. But I either listen or watch every ball game until I just get so fed up I shut off the radio or the television.
Yeah.
So, and now with the pitch clock, I got to say for a while, and I'll say this in baseball's favor, before the pitch clock, when we were starting to get those 3.5 hour games, they were losing me. And I would record it on DVR and fast forward through the, every minute of rest before each pitch. So now that they got games down to 2.5 hours, I'm good until it looks like a blowout. So.
Yeah, and I'd like to open this up to our texters, too, on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line, 84126. As dismal as it appears to be, at least the excitement level isn't waning that much on opening day. And we're going to be watching until, there's no chance at all, because we all want to find out, well, maybe Jordan Walker will be okay. Maybe Nolan Gorman will be okay. Maybe Victor Scott will hit. I mean, it's still the interest level on Thursday is going to be as high as it's ever been.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, it's opening day. I mean, like Tom Boswell, the great sports writer, said time begins on opening day. Every year it's kind of like, here's opening day. It's the beginning of summer. To me, it's like the beginning of the new year. There's baseball. And unlike football or unlike hockey, there's a game darn near every day. So for the sports fanatic like myself, I know there's baseball to watch, and I know there's Cardinal baseball to watch, and I will be rooting for them to win until they're mathematically eliminated because, hope springs eternal, right? It's like, maybe if we get lucky and the Cubs and the Brewers have a rash of injuries, you never know. I mean, the old Joaquin Andujar, you never know, and you got to play the game, but I'm not expecting much, but I think you named what I'm going to be watching. I truly hope, and I don't want to hear about sent down for special training. I want to see if Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman are major leaguers. You put them out there, and if they end up batting 190, fine. But this is the year you need to decide. I mean, I look at Jordan Walker, who came up. That man has had 1,000 at bats in the major leagues, and they're still talking about he's taking special hitting sessions. At some point, you just have to go. You're the right fielder, Jordan. You're the third baseman, Nolan. Sink or swim. And at the end of this season whether those two guys are professional ball players. Victor Scott's a little more different. We want him to hit. The guy plays a great center field. So it's a little harder for me to say this is your last chance. But I truly believe that I hope the team is looking at that this is Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker's last chance to prove they belong in a major league uniform.
Speaking of the Royal Banks Missouri text line, definitely the hot topic today on our text line has been the curfew and the idea of the city putting in a temporary curfew over the weekend. They made picked up some people on Friday night, seemed to help things on Saturday night. What are your thoughts on this? And should it be continued, Joe, or just perfect for a weekend like we had this weekend, or not? We shouldn't have it at all.
Well, first of all, we've always had a curfew, and there's I think people decided or somehow got in their mind, and I'll get to why they have that in their mind, was that the juveniles didn't have a curfew. Minors have always been subjected to a curfew in the city of St. Louis, county of St. Louis, as far as I know, everywhere. Mm-hmm. The thing is the enforcement of it. Now, they kicked it up to 10 o'clock when it's usually 11 or midnight, and forgive me, I'm not sure which one it is. For minors who are not getting off of work or are with their parents, you're supposed to be home. The problem is not whether or not you have a curfew. It's enforcing a curfew. It's like a speed limit law. You can set a speed limit all you want. If you don't enforce it, you might as well. You don't have one. You de facto don't have one. And what I sort of was, I'm glad the city at least recognized it was a problem. But what I want to see is continual enforcement. I think it was a great idea while there were a bunch of national cameras in town for those 8 teams that were playing that first and second round games here. You didn't want anything like what had happened the previous week with 50, 60 people arrested, streets blocked by road racers. You want to see arrests, but what I'd like to see that is every weekend. But if the only time you're going to enforce it is when there's a special event, then, gosh, how long is it going to take 15 and 16 and 17-year-olds to figure that one out? I'd have figured that out when I was 16 and saying, hey, is there anything going on special this weekend? No. Great. We own the city. So enforce the rules. And the other thing I didn't really appreciate with the city is they made it sound like they took some kids into custody, which I thought was great, called their parents and said, hey, you got to pick them up, which is what I lived under my whole life as a minor.
Mm-hmm.
I knew if I got picked up for a curfew violation, I was going to have to call my parents, which was far worse than getting picked up by the police. I was much more afraid of my dad than I was of a police officer taking me into Clayton or downtown. But the thing was, we had Office of Violence Prevention counselors. To what? To tell you to obey the law? It's like license plates. No one's going to get them if there's no penalty for not getting them. And then all of everything I've been talking about and sounding like a crabby old man, is that we have to start coming to the fact that maybe there's not enough police to handle these things. So you have, let's say, a major shooting or a major crime somewhere, and you have to have 3, 4, 5, half a dozen police officers there. There's no one to fill in the gaps. And it always reminds me of the story about, putting your finger in the dike to stop the flooding. And we've reached a situation where we're not trying to find out how many fingers we have. We're trying to find out which holes we're not going to bother to fill. And I think that's the dangerous situation, so that when people, and you can throw all the statistics around that you want, that is what's given people the idea, the feeling, the perception that it is unsafe in the city of St. Louis, is because they don't see people getting arrested, getting charged, getting prosecuted for things that 10, 15, 20 years ago would have ended you up with a ticket or in jail. It's really not rocket science.
Got about a minute left. You have a pretty good pulse for the city of St. Louis. On our text lines, everybody is in favor of it. And granted, 17-year-olds are not texting in as we speak. But what do you think in terms of approval of this new rule?
I think enforce the curfew. I think it's going to go back to 11 o'clock, which is what it is in the city. Some places have midnight. You enforce it. And I think what happens then is kids realize, the 15 and 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds realize, if I'm out past this, I'm going to get in trouble. And you enforce it, and the more you enforce it, kids are smart enough to figure it out. Kids find a way to get around anything. Remove the chances of them getting around it. Now, I'm not saying you throw them in prison, but you take them somewhere and you make their parents come pick them up. And then it becomes, where it should have always been, a parent's responsibility to parent their child and have them at home at a certain time. I don't know about you, but when I was 16 years old, I wasn't allowed to stay out till 2 o'clock in the morning. It was that simple. So enforce the rules you have on the books. You don't need new rules. You need to enforce the ones you have.
Good stuff, Joe. We appreciate it. We'll talk next week.
See you guys. Bye.
So Medicare man Ryan Raphael, I really wish that he could not only help everyone in our St. Louis area, but help all over the country, because situation with somebody very close to me who lives pretty far from St. Louis, that it was really terrible. They received health care that helped save their life from providers at a particular institution, and then find out, oh, by the way, your Medicare is not going to be, your specific Medicare plan is no longer going to cover treatment at that institution. That's always a really tough thing when it happens, and trying to navigate it several states away to help the changes happening has been really hard. That's where Ryan Raphael, the Medicare man, is the person who can walk you through the process. If you have a plan that is no longer working for a variety of reasons, or you selected a plan based on name recognition, or you were impressed with the marketing materials you got, and now that you're down into it and into brass tacks, you recognize there's some things that really don't match your specific needs, Ryan can help with that process. You just have to pick up the phone, call him directly, 314-368-6808, or set up a time to meet with him online. The thing about Ryan is he is so skilled, so knowledgeable, so good at what he does that you'd think you would have to pay enormous amounts of money, like you do for any high-paid consultant or coach who's helping you through a process like this. But in Ryan's case, under the law, his fees are paid by the insurance companies. It is no cost to you. It's like getting the best advice in the world, and to you, it is absolutely free. For the right plan, call the Medicare Man. Check them out online today, MedicareManSTL.com. Again, that number, 314-368-6808.
Stay connected with the Big 550 KTRS, streaming 24/7 online at KTRS.com or on the KTRS app. Powered by JBL Financial. Stream Straight Talk on Retirement every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Mark Lawson here, owner of Black Fox Cooper. We're an Anderson certified contractor. That means every window we install meets Anderson's exacting standards for quality, performance, and durability, and our installation is guaranteed for 2 years, in addition to the 20-year warranty on the glass. With over 20 years experience knowing our customers, we install the optimal windows to keep your home comfortable, efficient year-round, and most projects are completed within a day or two with minimal disruption to your daily routine. Financing is available. Call 314-270-1484 for a free consultation and estimate, or online at blackfoxcooper.com.
Well, the snow is finally gone, and warmer weather is coming soon. March into spring at Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant. Whether you're out for breakfast on a warm spring day, or you're just getting tired of March Madness munchies and want some great homestyle food, the place to go any time of day or night is Gingham's Restaurant in St. Charles. It's your home away from home, 24 hours a day. Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant, 636-946-0266, or ginghamsrestaurant.com.
The Broadway blockbuster Wicked flies back to the Fabulous Fox in 2027, and you can unlock exclusive access to tickets by becoming a season ticket holder for the 2026-2027 Broadway season. The 8-show package features Clue, Death Becomes Her, Boop the Musical, The Great Gatsby, Water for Elephants, Disney's Beauty and the Beast, Maybe Happy Ending, and Wicked. Subscribe today at fabulousfox.com and experience St. Louis's most popular musical, Wicked.
The Big 550 is locally owned and prides itself on live local talent. And we salute Commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference, Jeff Jackson, Jack Watkins, Senior Associate Commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference, and all at the St. Louis Sports Commission. Thank you for your hard work and dedication in bringing the men's NCAA games to St. Louis. Your contribution is commended for showcasing St. Louis in a national spotlight. From the Big 550 KTRS, thank you.
Are you retired? Are you thinking about retiring? Who is helping you with retirement? Might be time to check out the show When Retirement Happens, hosted by Kevin Lloyd of Legacy Wealth Advisors. Saturday at 1, Sunday at noon on the Big 550 KTRS.
Backed by popular demand, don't miss Blues Mystery Hat Giveaway Night. Join us April 7th as the Blues battle the Avalanche and take home an exclusive mystery hat to add to your collection. The first 10,000 fans will receive one of 3 hat styles, courtesy of Ticketmaster. The hats represent 3 eras of Blues hockey, and each features a stitched wordmark and logo from that era. Mystery hats are only available during this game, so get your tickets now at stlouisblues.com.
Truck drivers, your comfort matters. And at Schneider, we're here to make every mile better. Drivers at Schneider use newer, more reliable equipment that's spec'd with safety features and amenities that keep them comfortable any time of year. Plus, while you're out on the road, Schneider's nationwide facility network offers secure parking and the comfort of a home away from home to make your life easier. Upgrade to a better driving job with better equipment. Find jobs near you and apply at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
St. Louis is home to more than 80,000 University of Missouri, St. Louis alumni, where they drive the region's economy and contribute to its social and cultural well-being. At UMSOL, more is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
Tune in Mondays to the Frank and Jill Show for Success St. Louis Style as they feature a St. Louisan making a difference in our community. Brought to you by the St. Louis Chess Club. Building champions in the classroom and the community. Online at stlouischessclub.org.
The Bommarito Automotive Group is Missouri's #1 automotive group. They've sold over 1 million vehicles by giving you a better price, a better selection, and more for your trade. You can shop them online, see their entire inventory at bommarito.com.
Want a song?
You're on my mind like the song on the radio.
Want a quote? It's the song and quote of the day on the Frank and Jill Show. Right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Welcome back, Frank and Jill Show, 11:25 on a Tuesday morning. Really glad you're with us. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, Connor McCarthy. Back when I was, I think, 19 years old, home for the summer from college. My parents had moved from Iowa to Colorado. I went to my first concert at Red Rocks, and it was Bryan Adams and the Hooters opened for him. Such a good concert. And I just saw, I think tickets go on sale today. Bryan Adams coming to Enterprise Center in mid-July. And Pat Benatar is going to be one of the opening acts as well.
Pat Benatar.
That definitely got my love of 80s music perked up with those two. So prompted a little ode to Mr. Adams in the song of the day today. You'll recognize it. Do you like that one?
Very good, but I'm more intrigued by Pat Benatar. 73 years old, still looks good. A lot of young men loved Pat Benatar. What a beautiful woman she is, and what an incredible performer.
Yeah, and she's got a
just
really distinctive
presence.
look. I mean, Hit Me With Your Best Shot. That's
God.
such a good song as well. I agree. As you know, I've been deeply enjoying the show Love Story, which is the story of JFK and Carolyn Bessette Kennedy and their love and as it unfolded. And it's, I mean, the last few episodes have been last two at least, have been slightly depressing. You sort of know what's coming, and they're having some challenges in the relationship.
Are you through the one where they have the fight and he leaves? I heard that's like the second to last one. The last one obviously will be the tragedy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think we're getting close to the end, but I still have really enjoyed it, and it's gotten me because of the FBI agent in my phone, and in the computer keeps popping all of this JFK Jr. Trivia interviews. So I ran into this one, which was from The Tonight Show on 1998. It is with JFK Jr. and Jerry Seinfeld sitting there talking to Johnny Carson, and it happened to be on the night of the Seinfeld finale. Here's what they had to say. I got it wrong. It was Leno in 1998, not Johnny Carson that those guys were on with. But still,
I always wondered why they couldn't get him actually on there for a split second. Like they didn't use John. Actually, did they use John Voight? Yeah, they did use John Voight in the car. I think he bit Kramer. But why couldn't we have seen him on there?
Well, I mean,
it was so big.
JFK Jr. was out, kind of in the zeitgeist a lot more than, for instance, his sister Caroline. But the Kennedys in general, his mom had sort of taught him, like, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And so doing something like that. So that's why when he decided to do George Magazine, and it required so much more of him out in the public eye in order to try to, make this successful, the public just couldn't get enough of it. They were like, just in the press, it was just a ravenous monster. And so I think he started to realize that it really got out of control fast.
But you'd think you'd make an exception for arguably the greatest comedy of all time. I mean, and by the way, that is a show just like Women's Exchange. Men will not admit they enjoy it, but men are watching it, including myself. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. And McGraw, I mean, he's never he doesn't mind. Whatever he watches, he's always very open about it. And he and I have been talking about it. I admitted one morning on a Thursday morning, I got up at like 5:30 so I could watch it before I started doing show prep because I was dying to see what was going to happen next.
Have you heard how graphic, and how vivid it's going to be in terms of the final episode with the with the accident?
No, I don't know. The whole series started with kind of the setup as they're
Yeah.
getting ready to get on the plane. And I guess the part of that I just had forgotten, I knew it, but I forgot that the poor Bissett family lost two of their
Yeah, we
three
forget about
children
that.
day. And that's something that just kind of has made my heart hurt.
Isn't he a really good actor for not really being an actor?
I think so. I mean, a couple people have been, making fun of me. They're like, well, you just like looking at him. But I actually think he's doing a pretty good job in the role.
Yeah.
I think
and
they both
she's
are.
Tremendous. Okay, how about this? This is my most shallow question of the day, and that's going a long way here, folks. He is actually better looking than JFK, and she is actually better looking than Carolyn. Would you agree with that?
Oh gosh, I'm so biased about this because those two were just the creme de la creme of like coolness, and I think I'm in college and they're being cool New Yorkers, and I didn't have any money, but I'd pick up People magazine. I'd pick up People magazine just to look at what she was wearing and what they were doing, and so I probably am not the person to ask. Because I thought they were pretty beautiful people to begin with, for sure. Yeah, I mean, they probably were not nearly on your radar nearly as much. You were, out living your life by then.
I will say this: my mom was like obsessed with Jackie O. I mean, my mom would even like pick up a National Enquirer to read about Jackie O, and women of that age were obsessed with Jackie O.
Yeah, and I think she had to develop some really serious guardrails in order to protect having a normal life, and that's where a lot of the tension between JFK and his new wife is he didn't quite have those same guardrails up with the press, and she wanted some life and protection and didn't want to live quite.
Wasn't there? And I'm not just imagining this. I don't think didn't Carolyn his sister
Caroline,
Caroline, take a shot at her father and his father's lifestyle in it. I think she said a couple derogatory things.
She did. Now, of course, it's got to all be just they're guessing, right? Because there was no recordings of these conversations. So just like when you watch The Crown, people are like, that's not really how it actually happened. We like to pretend that we're watching something, but I do love the fact that the actor who's playing Caroline is Meryl Streep's daughter.
Yes, and she does a wonderful job.
I think she's really good. I agree with that. Somebody else who does a wonderful job, our friends over at Woods Basement Systems, and they've been doing that wonderful job 40 plus years. That's why we're celebrating a very big anniversary in 2026. That's how long Woods Basement Systems has been solving the biggest problems that face many homeowners, allowing people to stay in their homes for long periods of time, allowing them to avoid serious issues like mold and mildew infestations, which cause people to have to move out and completely walk away in some cases from their homes. They do the big stuff, and they take care of the things that are maybe not so big, but pretty annoying as well. I'm talking about the stuff like the fact that as in St. Louis, if you live in your house long enough and you have those driveway slabs or sidewalk slabs, they're going to start to settle at different rates and can create not only a tripping hazard, but an eyesore as well. Woods Basement Systems has a solution for that. They have a solution for making your crawl spaces a lot more efficient. You're losing a lot of money if you haven't had that thing insulated. The list goes on and on and on. All you have to do is go over to woodsbasementsystems.com, 618-708-4055.
And now, KTRS weather.
Looking at a stretch of beautiful weather before it really heats up for opening day on Thursday. Today, partly cloudy and mild. Jackets this morning, but really comfortable this afternoon, I think. A high of about 63. Mostly cloudy skies tonight, down to 46 for the low. It's warmer on Wednesday, 77 under partly cloudy skies. And boy, that heat really explodes on Thursday. I'm forecasting a record-breaking high of 91. Then a sharp cold front comes in. Scattered thunderstorms Thursday night into early Friday. Couple of strong to severe thunderstorms. And then it's back to cooler air with highs back in the 50s for Friday and Saturday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers on the Big 550 KTRS.
Retirement contribution amounts are going up this year, and catch-up contributions for 401ks or 403bs are increasing to $8,000 for those 60 to 63 years old. But for those already past retirement age, a reminder from IRS spokesperson Stacey Engel to take the required minimum distribution.
So if they didn't take the distribution by December 31st, 25, they are subject to the 10% penalty for failure to withdraw.
Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Are you ready for tax season? Don't let the tax changes charges passed in the Big Beautiful Bill Act catch you off guard. Hi, I'm Jeff Azufal, Senior Tax Strategist and Wealth Advisor at Capital Advisory Group and the author of the #1 best-selling book on taxes, Keep What's Yours, and my soon-to-be-released book, Keeping What's Yours, the Strategic Tax Planning Guide for the One Big Beautiful Bill. Since 1976, Capital Advisory Group has been saving our clients money year after year. Give us a call at 636-394-5524 or online at capitaladvisorygrp.com.
Mom, what do you always say? There's nothing sadder than jewelry that sits in a drawer. That's why we are proud to offer jewelry repair on site at Newsetter's Fine Jewelry. We know that your jewelry is important to you, and we take that part of our job very seriously. Visit us at Doherty Ferry in Big Bend or learn more at wowdiamonds.com.
Looking for a great local restaurant recommendation? Tune in to the Kuno Food Service weekly special during the Frank and Jill Show, Thursdays at 11. Hear from the best of the best restaurant owners in town. Only on the Frank and Jill Show, Thursdays at 11. Presented by Kuno Food Service, right here on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
Hey, Heidi here from my friends at Premier U. Spring is right around the corner, and this is your moment. The season of fresh starts now. Longer days, more energy. At Premier U, they don't guess, they personalize. Whether it's metabolic testing, hormone optimization, weight management, or IV support, they build a plan around you. If you've been saying I'll start soon, this is soon. Spring forward with clarity, confidence, and a strategy that works. Check out premierumed.com or call them today because this is your season.
Heard a great story about the window store the other day. Larry Thornton, the owner of the window store, 314-739-0002 or WSWindow.net, told me a story. He had a customer call him up and say that he wanted to replace his white vinyl windows with darker windows. And so, of course, Larry took care of him. So now they're all darker and sort of brown in color. It looks beautiful. They're energy efficient. There was no upselling. They're great quality windows, and Larry Thornton and the window store took care of him. That's what he does. The price is extremely reasonable, better than the national companies because there aren't the layers of middle management. The window store has been around for 38 plus years. Proud sponsor here at the Big 550 KTRS. Windows, and don't forget about doors. Doors can get really expensive real fast. That's why you want to go with a company you can trust. Installation, price, selection, quality. The window store. Window store. WSWindow.net. 314-739-0002. WSWindow.net.
Get your season tickets now for the 2026 Stages St. Louis. The 2026 season is kicked off with the always hilarious 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. Then take a trip back to the 40s and 50s with Guys and Dolls. Stages will wrap up this year with the incredible true story of Come From Away. Call today to reserve your group's individual or season tickets. 314-821-2407. Or visit them online at stagesstlouis.org. That's stagesstlouis.org.
I remember one time I went to visit Bob Costas in New York, name dropper, and he said, hey, we're going to have dinner tonight, and one of the guys coming is a fellow by the name of Terry Cashman, and that is the man who sang Talking Baseball. Welcome back. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. Ed Wheatley is in the house. He is a prolific author, also with the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame, and he's come out with about the most gorgeous book I've ever seen. It's called The Finest in the Field, A History of Baseball Through 50 Iconic Gold Glovers. Ed, this is spectacular. Yeah. First of all, like, how do you do a book where, like, you have people like Roberto Clemente and Kenny Boyer and, you know, Harvey Haddock's, people who've been passed away for a long time? Did you get people to talk about them?
Well, you know, they are part of the iconic moments. You know, each one of them has a story. They're all Gold Glovers. But what we did is I picked, like, moments, special games. You know, Harvey Haddock's 12 innings of perfect baseball. And his glove became one of the most iconic gloves, and you'll see all these beautiful pictures.
Yes.
Like each book of the 50 is told. You know, Willie Mays over-the-head catch in 54. There's the glove. Mantle saving Don Larson's perfect game on a Gil Hodges shot to Death Valley, and there's the glove. So we take each of their gloves. Now, where do we get them? I wrote the stories, did all the research, as you know, from what we do. And then, once the word got out I was doing it, Rawlings was helping, and really spearheading. But the Hall of Fame kicked in. I made calls to all the different major league teams, their archives. What do you want? Clemente has a Clemente Museum up in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
They came on board for the Clemente stuff that you spoke of. So pretty much all across the country, everybody was a part of it. I mean, and, you can name a great moment in baseball history. 100 years ago, we're celebrating the Cardinals in 1926. Game 7, 9th inning, 2 out. A catch, a tag, a world championship. Bob O'Farrell throws to Rogers Hornsby. Catches it in his glove, Rawlings glove right there. Tags Babe Ruth out, trying to steal second base for the third out, final out of the World Series.
Yeah.
Cardinals are world champions.
Wow, this is an absolutely gorgeous book. I mean, I have to say, it's a must-buy for anybody in your house who happens to love baseball. And it's really, really beautifully illustrated. So
Yeah.
all of that cooperation you talked about, I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's what led to these beautiful historic pictures and the old ads for the gloves and all these things that you have in here.
And when I all the books I've written, I try to find unique pictures that tell a story that it's not the same pictures you see over and over. I want different ones. And, one of my favorites I just kept looking for was up until 1954. The glove changed so many rules in baseball. When it first came out, the first 10 years of Major League Baseball, which started in 1876, they didn't wear gloves. And then in the 1880s, they started wearing the gloves. It was just a glove that covered the palm of your hand, was for protection, not really, there's no pocket or anything, because the fingers weren't even covered. And remember the old saying, even went up to us as youth, you may have remembered your coach, your dad, use two hands. Well, those first gloves were used, the left one stopped it, the right one held it.
Yeah,
So
look at this glove.
that is the first glove,
Look at
Frank.
this is a piece of crap. I mean, it's just the ugliest.
Yeah.
Worst. And then you go to Yadier Molina's, this platinum glove. It looks like a Ferrari.
Right. I mean, and each one of them has all the stories about it. Beautiful photography, the pictures we picked and everything. But, it's just, like I said, the Willie Mays catch. You build the story, and then there is the actual glove, or the same with Mantle. Or
Was it hard to keep it to 50, Ed Wheatley, in
well,
this book,
yeah,
the finest in the field?
You got to keep it. You can keep adding on, and how big it is. But I mean, the biggest thing is we picked these 50s. One of a good example was Cal Raleigh. The big dumper, the hero of last season. But I put him in. At first it was like he's not, but he was the Platinum Gold Glove, which is the American League best defender in 2024. He had to be in there, and then what he did last year, it all came together. And when he saw it, he just went crazy. How can I be with all these guys? Well, you're one of them. You are legendary for what you've done. And, you pick a guy, DiMaggio, we got in there. One glove caused him to show that he's really human. He got mad and kicked the dirt when he thought he won the World Series, but Algie and Frito jumped over the fence and didn't let him get that home run that would win the World Series in 1947.
And
in
it's
Game
not
6.
just like great defenders. No. And look, I applaud you anytime you have Reggie Jackson in a book. It's a good thing. But you have Reggie Jackson's glove, and he wasn't exactly Roberto Clemente in right field.
No, but he is in there for some reasons and stories. Even got a couple copies of the Reggie bar in there, in the story. But Reggie was part of the coming out with the new glove, the fastback, and so you see the evolution as you spoke of the very first glove there, all the way up to the future, where we're at now. These bright blue gloves. If you look at the back of the book of Francisco Lindor and whatever.
All right, our time is brief. How do people pick up this book? We recommend it for everybody. It's spectacular.
It is. We're going to kick it off at April 14th at the St. Louis County Library in Frontenac, the author series. And then that Saturday, the 18th, we're right outside in the Rawlings Experience, and I think you're going to see some Gold Glovers right next to me signing.
Oh, wow, but people can buy it.
They can buy it now. It's out everywhere,
now.
online, in stores.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy Father's Day pick this year. You guys, I'd pick it up right away.
Congratulations on another great book. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Bye.
We'll be right back.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Spring is in the air, my favorite time of the year. I'm buying and selling, of course, cars and motorcycles daily. I like to buy a few cars a day at this time of year, and I like to buy them directly from the owner. We carry only hand-selected vehicles, and I like to meet the people they come from. It's as much a people business as it is a car business. If you're in the St. Louis metro area, I'll even come to your house to purchase your vehicle, especially if you have more than one to sell or even an entire collection. We're always on the hunt for super clean, rare, and unique vehicles. I'll even buy everyday cars if they have low miles and are exceptionally clean. Hop on my site, mastercarsinc.com, and submit what you've got to sell. We buy, sell, and trade every single day.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit mastercarsinc.com to get more details. That's mastercarsinc.com.
At Midland, we know sometimes all it takes is a moment for an idea to spark, or to make it happen, a moment to find your dream, or build one, a moment to start your forever, or at least start planning for it. Whatever moments you have, Midland is here for them and can help you make them. Midland, brighter together. Visit us at midlandsb.com. Midland States Bank is member FDIC.
So here's the deal. If you're driving around and you've got some dings and dents and you start to notice them now a little bit more because the sun is out and you're driving, wait a minute, hold on, I didn't see that before. Guess what? You need to get to Dents Express. They've got 2 locations, on Manchester, in Baldwin, and in St. Charles. Whether it's dent removal, hail damage, minor collision, they'll work with your insurance company, handle all the paperwork, and then when it's ready, they'll come call you and you can come pick up the car for 30-plus years. Dents Express, STL.com.
Carney, Buck.
On the next Carney Show, Randy Naughton joins me and Max. We'll also do a little Restaurant Tuesday, and we'll talk tech with Dan Morin. Meet us here right at noon.
John Carney, Julie Buck. Weekdays at noon on KTRS. The talk of St. Louis.
Get your reservations in now for Bishop's Post. Bishop's Post. They have the best version of your classic favorites. Located in Chesterfield, Bishop's Post is the perfect spot for that celebration.
Hi, it's Frank Cusimano inviting you to join me for the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. We're going to interview some of the biggest names in sports and have our opening monologue. That's the Press Box, brought to you by Control Option, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. right here on the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis.
File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction or your money back. File in the Credit Karma app.
And now it's time for the Legal Eagle segment with Travis Noble of Travis Noble Attorneys at Law on the Frank and Jill Show from the Big 550 KTRS.
We are so excited because we are beginning this segment with one of the great attorneys in the history of St. Louis, Travis Noble. We call it the Legal Eagle segment. I asked my son, the circuit attorney, last night, what makes Travis so good? He goes, well, he knows the law better than anybody else. That's number one. So welcome to the program. Thanks so much for being a part of it.
Thank you.
Before we get to a couple of cases, if you had to narrow it down, why you have had this incredible run in St. Louis now for decades, what would be the 1 or 2 things that jump out at you why you've been successful?
You know, young lawyers come to me all the time asking, how do you build a business and build a brand? And I tell them that this is like any other business. You know, if you're gonna build widgets, build the best widget you can build. Same thing in the practice of law. Just fight for your clients, try their case, be willing to go to trial and fight for them. Winning helps. And, you know, winning more than you lose always helps. But just be willing to go in there and fight for people.
I have a question because there seems to be, you know, when we've been talking about sports and the whole, specifically the NIL situation the last couple of years, and the fact that the NCAA used to have all kinds of rules, and then now it seems like it's the Wild West. There's no rules because they've said no, we have no safeguards against being sued over and over and over again, and that's why we can't really put any guardrails up. Now there's talk that in Washington, bipartisan effort to put some guardrails up. Is that just lip service? And what are your thoughts on all that?
You know, I think that this is one of those very controversial issues. Mm-hmm. My oldest daughter goes to the University of Alabama, which is, not lost on recruiting players and trying to put the best football team and now basketball team actually playing pretty well. I think what has to happen for NIL, Congress has to take some action. There needs to be some federal legislation kind of controlling this, setting ground rules. The NCAA could also step in and create some ground rules, but they don't. So
they don't have the motivation to do it because they want to keep everybody happy, or why haven't they?
I don't know why the NCAA doesn't. I think it's probably a lot of pressure from the bigger schools. I think that the smaller schools then kind of get squeezed out. And because there's no legislation nationally or through NCAA, every state's kind of left to themselves. Missouri really kind of jumped out in front. And it's really the wild, wild west in Missouri. I mean, we kind of have opened it up, but it gives Mizzou an opportunity, and SLU and some of the other schools, to compete with, the Alabamas, the Georgias, and things like that. This deal that Lane Kiffin signed with LSU, my understanding was they were going to guarantee a certain amount of NIL money that he would have at his disposal to be able to recruit players. That all comes from alum. People are alumni, and then they put these groups together that dump money into there to then be able to pay, these students for their name, image, and likeness, which is because, the taboo is, well, we don't pay for play. But really the universities are paying to play. Whether they say, they hook them up with a local car dealer who provides them with a car or pays them money to show up to the dealership one Saturday a month, and then they write them big fat checks to come play at that university. There needs to be some sort of ground rules for this.
All right, let's go local. You were involved in an unbelievable case in the last week or so. The Northwoods police officer, there's two of them that were convicted. You represent one, and he's not going to jail. Can you give us an overview? Sure.
There were two Northwoods police officers charged with constitutional violations, violating a gentleman's constitutional rights. The first count was kind of a kidnapping with a conspiracy charge. The other one was an assault, basically, on the individual. And my client was charged with aiding and abetting in the assault and the conspiracy on the kidnapping. And so there were two officers involved. I represent the corporal, the supervisor in the case. There was another lawyer who represented the other gentleman. They were much different cases. The other lawyer did a phenomenal job. He really did a phenomenal job. But at the end of the day, the jury convicted him of 3 of the 4 counts. My client was acquitted of the 2 charges that he was charged with. And so it was pretty surreal to watch this young police officer the other lawyer's client be taken out in handcuffs. And my client walked out the front door of the federal courthouse with us.
What about the emotional angle where this police officer's life could have been dramatically affected, and all of a sudden the judge rules on your behalf? What about that emotion and the relationship with you and the police officer?
It was a jury. The jury decided this case. It was an 8-day jury trial. We're first sitting there and the jury came back. They were out, I think, 9-10 hours. And obviously, it is so emotional during that time period, waiting for this jury to decide your fate or your client's fate. When the jury came back, they said to count 1, they found the other officer not guilty. Count 2, they found my client not guilty. Count 1, they were both found not guilty. Count 2, they said the other officer, so we were feeling pretty good at that moment when the jury said not guilty. Then when they got to count 2, they said they found the other defendant guilty, and my heart sank. But then when they said, as to Michael Hill, my client, they said not guilty. So they found the other officer guilty, my client not guilty, and then 2 more counts for the other officer, that he was guilty on both of those. So we were just absolutely thrilled for, Corporal Michael Hill.
Yeah. I just couldn't imagine the emotion, that split second what's going through your heart and mind.
If you guys are just tuning in, Travis Noble, of course, very well-known trial attorney in St. Louis, joining us for our new Legal Eagle segment. Let's talk about juries for a second, because, a lot of us, we hear all the time from friends and even family, I got jury duty. I'm going to do everything I can to get out of it. That always makes me nervous as a citizen, as the partner of an attorney, because I know we need the smartest, best people to be sitting on juries, not the people who have nothing else going on in their lives. What are you seeing in terms of people's willingness to serve and what kind of impact it has on cases?
I think it really kind of disrupts people's lives. They're going to work. Some people, if they're not at work, they're not getting paid.
Sure.
And some people have small businesses. If they're not there to run the business, they're not making money. And so it puts a tremendous pressure from an economic standpoint on people. But I think most people, you're right, they all talk about how to get out of jury service. And people call me all the time. They go, Travis, I got jury duty. Is there anything I can do to get out of this? And I go, no, you need to serve. That's what separates this country from everywhere else, that we have the opportunity, if the government's going to point the finger and accuse of a crime, that 12 citizens get to come together, listen to the evidence, and decide whether the government proved their case. And I think that most people, once they get in there and they're serving, I think it becomes real to them. And I think they realize the impact and just how important this is. And I think most people take it very seriously. And
Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt. How important is your background as a police officer to your success right now?
You know, I think it helps tremendously. I mean, I wouldn't be the defense lawyer I am today without that 10 years in law enforcement, that background, because, you know, it allows me to kind of look at a case, see a case, read a police report, and know, I don't know this went down this way. I think they're fudging a little bit here. And then knowing kind of what their training is. You know, oftentimes police officers may say, well, that's not what we're trained to do. Well, they may say that to another lawyer. With me, they know I've probably taught the class that they're talking about. And I still speak at police organizations to this day. So when I say to the officer, that's not how you train, right? And they're like, yes, you're right. You messed that up, didn't you? Yes, I did. And so it helps from a credibility standpoint with the officers, I think.
Travis, before we let you go, since you specialize in DWI stuff, what are your thoughts on the states like Illinois talking about dropping the legal drinking limit from 0.08 to 0.05?
You know, I made the joke once at the Missouri legislature. Like one of the past governors came up with a new DWI bill, and they brought in a judge, a prosecutor, a defense lawyer to talk to the legislature. And, of course, they thought it was going to be like the three bears in the porridge. One's hot, too cold, just right. Well, the prosecutor said they didn't go far enough. The judge said it's about right. And I think they thought I was going to get up and say they went too far. And I got up and I said, you guys, every time you change the law and lower the limit, you should call it the Travis Noble Monetary Relief Act, because you just make me more money. It's just crazy. But I do think it's ridiculous. There are no studies that show whether any appreciable difference between 0.10 and 0.08, and now they're talking about lowering it to even, I hear, 0.06, 0.05, which
Do you think it's just legislators looking like they want to look like they're doing something?
Yes, and I think there's a lot of pressure politically. Drunk driving is the only crime that has a lobby behind them, MAD, who do an unbelievable job of bringing this crime to the forefront, getting legislatures to do things, monitoring judges and make sure that they're following the law and handing out strict sentences. So, you know, I applaud MAD for their hard work because it is a serious crime.
Well, this is going to be one of our best segments every week. Travis Noble, Legal Eagle segment. Next time you come in, could you dress up a little bit? I mean, that black sport coat with the white spread, the white pocket hanky, it's just not nice enough, all right? We appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much. We'll talk next week.
Thank you.
That'll do it for this edition of the program. Thanks to Ed Wheatley, Travis, Joe Holloman, Vicki Bryan, and Dr. Rick. We'll take a break. We'll be back in 22.
Everyone's talking about these weight loss drugs, and it's a good thing we've got Dr. Joe Molesky with us, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician. Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
The magic cure is these weight loss shots. They're injected once weekly. They're not like the old